Hello, welcome back to IMAPS Module 9, which is the cost capture section. Every project has multiple costs to be captured. So we have the employee timesheet, which is the actual cost. You have the equipment cost, which comes into equipment timesheets, and you have all other expenses. Also, there's the POs and all the procurement costs, which we already covered under the vendor section when we said vendor progressing, because when you progress an item that has been received, the actual cost is incurred. So you're actually working on accruals and you're able to balance the accrual cost versus the actual invoice cost, as we mentioned earlier. So now we're going to go to the cost capture. We're going to start with the employee timesheet. We're going to add an employee timesheet. We're going to choose a project, which was video. We get timesheet number. That's gonna be an automated number based on the corporate structure, or here we can put any number we want. It's gonna be day shift, the date of the day we created. So now we add time entry. We choose an employee. Remember, we create James Bond employee. We choose the cost code, and then you can see here it's labor cost code, and all those cost codes are actually for labors. So we're gonna choose an indirect staff. Remember that we had a material cost code. You cannot see the material cost code in there because the cost code type defines the cost coding of the timesheet. That feature will eliminate a lot of miscoding that we've seen and we've experienced in many projects, which gives you wrongful information about the forecast of the project and other items. So in IMAPS, you won't have that issue at all. So we already see the straight time, so we're gonna put 8 hour, 2 hours. So I'm gonna do an error here where I'm gonna put another 8 hours, let's say. As you can see, you cannot exceed 16 hours per day per employee, and that's as per the Alberta labor law. That's an Alberta function that we have in this model. We can change that based on the labor laws of any province, and we'll do that accordingly. And then once you finish the timesheets, we just click save. We can add multiple other employees or multiple days on one timesheet. That functionality will be much quicker for everybody. We can also just type the name and then you can find it. So if you have multiple uh, employees, you can use the employee number to search for them, the name, or the position as well, which will accelerate the work of the time entry per personnel. So now that we've seen how we can enter it, you can go back and edit the timesheet at any time and change the date, let's say for the 8th, and then I go down, I just click update, and then the time entry changed, which will also change in all the cost reporting and all the other functions. So, and now we can go and do other cost capture. So that's how your payroll works. You can also connect that to any payroll system you would like and issue all the payments. So you'll have all the hours, you have the date stamped, and it's very protected from a security perspective. Same thing, we're gonna go do equipment timesheets. So we're gonna add an equipment timesheet. I'm gonna put the project, which was video demo. Timesheet number, as I said before, it will be automatic based on the company structure, but here we can put any number we want. We're gonna add a time entry. We can choose the equipment. It was the camera, and if you remember, we put $10 in the vendor module that we worked on. And then the cost code that we have here, as you can see, we did not have any cost code that had budget for the actual item. So whenever I'm going to choose a cost code, which is files, you can see automatically the external cost code will be shown here. So uh, uh, it will automatically choose the type for the equipment. So it won't show you any other cost code that does not have the equipment type, which is a great feature for coding as well. So then we can put 10 hours and then 2 hours standby, and we can just click create. Then we'll have the total cost and total hour, and here you have the time entry. It takes 2 seconds. Everything is set up like we explained how we set up an employees and equipment, and you also have the vendor section that we've procured the equipment or rented it, Everything is there for you and it takes 2 minutes to do it. The last section of the cost capture is expense forms. So we're going to add an expense report. We're going to choose the project, which was video demo. I'm going to call the expense number. That also can be automated. For the sake of this demo program, we're not. So the employee, we only had one employee on that project. The approver is myself. We're going to create that one. We're going to add an expense entry. So in the expense report, automatically you will have to choose a cost code to check. So in that cost code, we're able to put it under the indirect staff or pipe piles or whatever the cost code there is, billable or not, for billing purposes. If it's billable, you can put a markup, let's say, of 10%. We enter the date today. We're gonna say that hotel travel to site example. We're gonna browse, choose financials, and we're gonna put $100. It's $105, and actually that's a total tax, so it should be $5. I hope it's not 105, and then it's $105 total, and you create. So that's one entry with all the backup. You can add another entry, choose another code if you want, and let's say you actually, it's not billable. We enter the date, and pipe materials procured on credit card. Hopefully not in a project, but it happens. You just choose a file, and it's $1,000, and it's $50 tax. You create. After you create multiple line entry, you have all the backup here and all the receipts. As you can see, you can just submit for approval. Bang, submit it for approval. And then you can see here automatically you also have the expense approval. I can click it. I see it's here, it's pending. I open it as a manager. I see all the information I need here with all the description and all the backup receipts. So it's so much easier for us to approve the expenses. I don't need to be there. It can be digitally signed and I can approve it digitally. The second I click approve, this actual expense cost goes into all your reports and you have it everywhere. So as you can see here, the cost capture, we did employee timesheet, we did equipment timesheet and expense forms. We've seen how easy it is. And the vendors, we've already done the vendor progressing, which gives us the incurred cost of all the procured items such as STNS or even subcontractors, because you can progress subcontractor scope, progress their invoicing, etc. So that's how you capture all the costs for a project, and everything will go into the reporting section, which we'll review in the other sections as well. Thank you.